The blood calls us. The vow is sealed. You are bound.
She is not who she seems.
Amara and Daniel sat under the old almond tree behind the university hostel. The night was warm and the crickets sang their endless song. Amara's eyes were bright, though her face was serious. "Promise me," she whispered, holding his hand tightly. "You will never leave me for another." Daniel smiled, brushing her cheek gently. "I swear, Amara, no matter what happens, it will always be you. My heart, my life, my soul, only you." They cut their palms with a small razor blade. Their blood mingled as they pressed their hands together. A soft wind rushed through the trees. The leaves shook, though no one else was around. "Spirits are listening," Amara said softly. "This is not just words. Our ancestors hear us tonight." Daniel nodded, though his smile faltered. The sound of the wind felt strange, almost alive. "Let them hear," he said, voice steady. "Our love is stronger than anything." But deep in the darkness, unseen by them, shadows shifted. The earth seemed to breathe. A whisper floated in the air, old, cracked voices muttering in a language neither of them knew. They kissed, sealing their vow. For a moment, the world was silent, as if time itself bowed to their promise. But far away, in the place where spirits dwell, an oath was carved into the unseen, an oath that no human hand could erase. Their love was bound, not just to their hearts, but to forces that never forget. Amara laid her head on Daniel's chest. He held her close. "Forever," she said. "Forever," he repeated, and the shadows smiled. The semester ended with heat shimmering over the campus grounds. Students dragged suitcases, laughing, hugging, promising to meet again. Daniel stood with his bag slung over his shoulder, but his eyes never left Amara. She clutched his arm. "Are you really going?" Her voice trembled. He nodded. "It's just 1 year. The scholarship is too big to refuse. When I come back, we'll graduate together. We'll build the future we dreamed about." Amara shook her head slowly. 1 year can change a lot. Daniel held her face with both hands. "Not for us. Nothing will change. Remember the oath." Her heart beat faster. The night under the almond tree replayed in her mind. The blood, the whispering wind, the strange silence after their kiss. She shivered. "Daniel," she said, "don't break it, even if temptation comes. Don't forget me." "I can't forget you," he said firmly. He kissed her forehead. At the airport, his friends clapped him on the back. "London will change you, man," one of them teased. Daniel only smiled, though his eyes searched the crowd until he found Amara's face again. She waved, tears slipping down her cheeks. As the plane lifted into the sky, Amara whispered, "Spirits, keep him faithful." But as she turned to leave, she felt it, the same wind from the night of their oath. It curled around her, warm and sharp, like a warning. A whisper brushed her ear, "We remember." She froze. People bustled past her, unaware. Amara's heart thumped hard. She knew then that their promise was no longer between just the two of them. It belonged to something older, something watching, something waiting. Daniel stepped into the chilly air of London with wide eyes. Tall buildings loomed above him. Neon lights blinked. The city buzzed with energy so different from the warm nights back home. He dragged his suitcase into the student hostel, excited but nervous. Everywhere he looked, he saw faces unlike his own. Pale skin, golden hair, sharp blue eyes. He whispered to himself, "Just 1 year, then back to Amara." In class, professors spoke quickly, their accents strange, but Daniel worked hard. He joined study groups, smiling politely, but his heart was far away. Each evening, he called Amara on video. They laughed, they planned. She told him about campus gossip, about how the almond tree had shed early that year. But slowly, the calls grew shorter. Sometimes the network failed, sometimes Daniel was tired. Sometimes Amara sounded distant. One rainy evening, a group of students invited Daniel out. "Come on," a tall blonde girl said with a playful smile. "Don't be boring. One drink won't kill you." Her name was Claire. She laughed easily, her voice bright like bells. Daniel hesitated, but followed. They crowded into a small pub, music thumping. The smell of beer and perfume filled the air. Claire leaned close. "So, Daniel, no girlfriend here?" Daniel smiled awkwardly. "I have someone back home." She pouted, teasing. "Back home? That's far away. Here, you're free." The words echoed louder than the music. Free. Daniel laughed nervously, but deep inside, something stirred. He remembered Amara's trembling voice. "Don't break it." That night, when he returned to his room, the window rattled, though the night was calm. A whisper floated in the corner, soft and sharp. "Remember." Daniel shivered. He thought it was the wind, but the spirits were already watching. Days passed and London wrapped itself around Daniel. The classes were hard, but he adapted. The streets glowed with colors at night, full of life. Yet the more he stayed, the weaker Amara's voice became in his world. Claire was everywhere. She waited after lectures, laughed at his jokes, brought him hot coffee during study nights. She walked beside him under the lights of the city as if they had always belonged together. One evening, she grabbed his phone playfully. "Who's Amara?" she teased, reading the name on his screen. Daniel snatched it back quickly. "She's my girlfriend, back home." Claire tilted her head, her smile fading for the first time. "And what about here?" Daniel's mouth went dry. He wanted to say her name didn't matter, that his heart was taken, but the words stuck. That night, he dreamed. In the dream, he was back under the almond tree with Amara. Their hands were pressed together, blood dripping between their palms. Only this time, Amara's face melted away, replaced by a faceless shadow. The shadow whispered, "Break it and burn." He walked drenched in sweat. His phone buzzed. A message from Amara. "I miss you. Are you okay?" He stared at the words for a long time before typing back, "I'm fine, just busy." But guilt stabbed him. The next day, Claire kissed him on the cheek when he helped her with her notes. He didn't pull away. He only stood there frozen, his heart racing. That night, the window rattled harder. This time, he heard footsteps in the corner of his room, slow, heavy, coming closer. Danton whispered to himself, "It's just my mind, just my mind." But deep down, he knew something had cracked. Amara sat on her hostel bed, staring at her phone. The screen showed Daniel's last message. "I'm fine, just busy." She read it over and over, her stomach twisting. Something felt wrong. His words were too cold, too short. She hugged her pillow and whispered, "Daniel, don't forget me." But the walls seemed to echo back, "Forget, forget." That night, she dreamed again. She was walking through a forest, the almond tree standing tall in the middle. Daniel was there, but his back was turned. She called his name. He didn't answer. Instead, a white-skinned woman in a red dress stepped out from behind him and touched his shoulder. The tree shook violently. From its roots, dark hands reached out, clawing the ground. A voice thundered through the forest. The oath must not be broken. Amara woke up screaming. Her roommate rushed to her side. "What is it? Another bad dream?" Amara nodded, trembling. She didn't explain. How could she? Who would believe that spirits had tied her love to something beyond human control? Meanwhile, in London, Daniel sat with Claire in a quiet cafe. Rain tapped against the glass. She leaned close, smiling. "I like you, Daniel." His heart pounded. He should have pulled back, remembered Amara, remembered the almond tree. But instead, he whispered, "I like you too." The moment their lips touched, the lights flickered, glasses on the shelves rattled. The barista frowned. Strange, no wind tonight. Daniel felt a sharp sting in his chest, like a hot needle. He gasped, but forced a smile, hiding his fear. Far away in Amara's hostel, her phone buzzed on its own. A new message appeared.
Though Daniel hadn't typed it, he's breaking it. Amara's hands shook. The spirits were speaking.
Amara couldn't shake the unease. Every sound in her hostel room felt louder. The ticking clock, the wind brushing the windows, even her own heartbeat. She kept glancing at her phone, waiting for Daniel to call, but he didn't. She went to the small mirror above her desk to comb her hair, and she brushed. The reflection flickered. For a split second, she saw Daniel's face, but his eyes were hollow, black like an endless pit. Behind him stood a faceless woman in a red dress. Amara screamed and spun around. The room was empty. Her roommate rushed in. "Amara, what is it?" But Amara couldn't explain. Her knees felt weak. She sank to the floor, clutching her chest. That same night in London, Daniel was lying on his bed. He had kissed Claire again, and now guilt gnawed at him. He reached for his phone but hesitated. He imagined Amara's hot voice, the disappointment in her eyes. He dropped the phone back on the table. Suddenly, the mirror across the room rippled like water. Daniel sat up, frozen. His reflection stepped forward. Though he had not moved, the reflection's mouth opened wide, whispering, "She sees, she knows." Daniel jumped from the bed, heart racing. What is this?" The reflection grinned, teeth sharp and unnatural. Then it vanished. Daniel grabbed his Bible from the drawer, pressing it to his chest. "It's just stress," he whispered. But he didn't sleep the rest of the night. Back home, Amara lit a candle under the almond tree. She prayed aloud, voice trembling. "Spirits, keep him faithful. Please don't punish him." But the flame flickered wildly, though there was no breeze. A voice rose from the earth itself. "The oath is ours. The punishment is ours." The next morning, Daniel stared at his face in the bathroom mirror. Dark circles hung under his eyes. He splashed cold water, but the tiredness didn't fade. When he looked up again, the reflection didn't follow. His reflection stayed still, smiling faintly. Daniel stumbled back, heart hammering. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. The reflection slowly lifted its hand and drew a finger across his chest. Daniel gasped, because at that exact moment a burning line appeared on his skin, glowing faintly like fire beneath the flesh. He clutched his shirt, trembling. The pain faded, but the mark remained, a faint scar shaped like a ring. Later that day, Claire noticed him flinch. She asked, "Are you okay?" "Yeah," he lied, "just tired." But at night, he dreamt of Amara again. She stood by the almond tree, her eyes full of tears. She said, "You promised me. Now they will come for us." Daniel reached for her, but the ground cracked open between them. From the hole, ghostly hands rose, pulling at his legs. He screamed with a wail. The scar on his chest was glowing faintly again. Meanwhile, back home, Amara's health began to fade. She stopped eating. Her eyes looked hollow. Her friends whispered that maybe heartbreak was killing her. But deep down, she knew it wasn't heartbreak, it was the oath. One night, her roommate found her standing outside in the rain, staring up at the sky. "They've marked him," Amara said blankly. "Now they're waiting for the right moon." Her roommate grabbed her shoulders. "Who is waiting? You're scaring me." Amara smiled weakly. "The ones who heard us that night. They never forget." Thunder rumbled far away. Somewhere, a spirit stirred awake. Rain poured in London that night. Daniel sat by the window, staring at the storm. Each flash of lightning made him see things that were not there. Faces in the glass, hands reaching from the shadows. He tried to focus on his studies, but the voices were growing clearer. They whispered his name from nowhere. Sometimes they sounded like Amara, sometimes like something else. He finally called her. The line crackled. "Amara, are you okay?" She didn't answer for a time. Then her voice came, slow, distant, like it was underwater. "Daniel, you broke it." He froze. "What do you mean?" She said, "The spirits told me. You let another woman into your heart." Daniel's truth tightened. "Amara, it was a mistake. Please," she cut through sharper. "Mistake. The oath doesn't understand mistakes. The oath only knows truth." Then the call dropped. Daniel tried calling back, but the number was unreachable. That same night, Amara went to the old woman who lived near the edge of town, Mama Ifeoma, known for speaking with the unseen. She listened quietly as Amara explained everything, the blood oath, the dream, the whispers. Mama Ifeoma lit 3 candles. Child, when blood and spirit join, it cannot be broken without a price. You must warn him. The sea itself carries the anger of your promise. In London, Daniel's window suddenly burst open. Wind howled through the room, though the rain had stopped outside. The water from his glass spilled, forming strange shapes on the floor. 2 names written in shimmering liquid, Amara and Daniel. Then slowly, the name Amara began to fade. Daniel backed away, breath shaking. No, please, don't take her. But the wind whispered, she will not be the one taken. Claire noticed Daniel's change. He looked restless, eyes hollow, jumping at small sounds. One evening she asked softly, are you hiding something? Daniel forced a smile. Just stress. They walked by the Thames River, the water black and calm. Claire slipped her arm around him. You need to relax, she said. Her voice sweet, but when Daniel turned to look at her, for a second, her eyes were not blue. They were pitch black, deep and endless. He blinked and they turned normal again. He froze. Claire tilted her head. What's wrong? Nothing, he whispered. That night when he entered his room, the air grew heavy. His phone vibrated on its own. The screen flashed once, then displayed Amara's face, though she had not called. Her voice came from the speaker. She is not who she seems. The lights went out. Daniel's breath caught. He grabbed his phone flashlight and froze. Claire was standing by the door, though he had not had her coming. Daniel, she said softly, I came to check on you, but her voice was deeper, almost 2 voices layered together. She walked toward him slowly. Her reflection in the window moved differently, delayed, twisted. Daniel backed away. What are you? He whispered. Claire smiled. You broke the oath. Now you belong to me. He screamed and stumbled back, the Bible falling from his hand, the room filled with cold wind and the faint sound of whispering voices. When he looked again, Claire was gone, but her scent of perfume lingered. Outside, thunder rolled across the London sky. Back home, Amara's body was weakening. Her eyes were sunken, her lips pale. She stayed inside, refusing to eat or speak much. Her mother wept. My daughter, please, what is happening to you? Amara only said, it's not sickness, it's the oath. One night, the almond tree began to shed its leaves, though it was not the season. Amara went there barefoot, guided by the whispers in her dreams. The ground pulsed under her feet. The wind carried voices. Blood has been spilled across the ocean. You are bound to his mistake. Amara fell to her knees. Spare him. It was my idea to make the oath. The voice replied, no one escapes a promise made to the spirits. The earth trembled. A faint red light glowed beneath the roots. Suddenly, her palm burned. The same mark that had appeared on Dinah's chest now flamed on her hand. She screamed in pain. Her mother ran outside, but by the time she reached her, the mark had faded. Amara lay on the ground, breathing heavily. That night, she told Mama Ifeoma, they've marked me too. What can I do? The old woman's face was grave. When you join love with the unseen, only sacrifice can balance it. What kind of sacrifice? Amara whispered. Mama Ifeoma shook her head. That choice will not be yours alone. The spirits will choose what they want. Amara's eyes filled with tears. I just wanted him to love me forever. Mama Ifeoma looked at the sky. And now, forever is coming.
Daniel hadn't slept for days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the almond tree. He saw Amara's face, sad, watching him from across black water. He drank coffee, hoping to stay awake, but the room was colder than usual. His breath came out in white mist, though the heater was on. Then came the knock, slow, heavy. He opened the door cautiously. No one was there, but on the floor lay a small red string, tied like a bracelet. It looked just like the one Amara had worn. He picked it up, and a woman's laugh echoed in his ear. Not Claire's, Amara's. He dropped it quickly, heart pounding. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and he saw her, standing in the corner, wearing a white gown. Her eyes were full of tears. Amara? He whispered. but her voice was layered, echoing. "You promised me, Daniel." "I know. I'm sorry." "It's too late. They are angry." Then she vanished, leaving behind a cold mist. The next morning, Daniel ran to church. He met Pastor James, a Nigerian preacher living in London. He poured out everything: the oath, the dreams, the woman. The pastor listened quietly. He said, "Young man, you made a spiritual contract. Only repentance with truth can break it. Confess and return home." Daniel nodded, "I will." But when he left the church, Claire stood across the street, smiling faintly. "Leaving so soon?" she asked. Cars passed between them, but each time one moved, she was closer. Daniel ran. Daniel bought a flight ticket that same day. He told no one. He packed in silence, whispering prayers. As the plane lifted, he felt a strange peace for the first time in months. But halfway through the flight, the air grew heavy. The lights blinked. The passengers stared uneasily. Daniel looked through the window. For a second, he saw something flying beside the plane. A woman in a red dress, hair floating, eyes empty. He gasped, gripping the seat. "God, please." The pilot's voice came on. "Passengers, please remain calm. We are experiencing turbulence." Daniel closed his eyes and prayed. When he opened them again, the figure was gone. When he landed in Nigeria, the heat hit him like a wave. He felt alive again. But when he called Amara, her mother answered in tears. "She's not herself anymore. She keeps saying you are cursed." Daniel's heart sank. "I'm coming home," he said. When he arrived at Amara's house, the place felt strange. The almond tree was bare. The air around it shimmered faintly, like heat on a road. He saw Amara sitting under it, staring into space. "Amara," he said softly. She turned slowly. "You came back." "Yes, I'm here now. I'll fix this." She shook her head. "You can't fix what's already claimed." The wind stirred the tree. Whispering voices rose again, cold and ancient. That night, Daniel stayed in Amara's house. He couldn't sleep. The air was thick with unseen eyes. At midnight, Mama Ifema arrived, carrying a calabash and white chalk. She drew marks on the floor and said quietly, "If the spirits made the oath, they must speak their demand." Amara sat weakly beside her. What if it's too late? Mama Ifema didn't answer. She placed the calabash in the center of the room and began to chant in a low voice. The flame of the candle bent backward. The shadows on the wall began to move, forming faces, old, ageless, angry. A deep voice filled the room. One heart was given, one heart was broken. The bond must be balanced. Daniel stood up trembling. "Please, I was wrong. Forgive me." The voice thundered. "Blood binds, blood redeems." Amara grabbed his hand. "They want a life, Daniel." Mama Ifema's eyes widened. "They want to take one of you." Daniel's body shook. "No, take me. Leave her." Amara turned to him, tears streaming. "No, it was my idea. Let it be me." The wind rose suddenly. The candle went out. Both fell to their knees. In the darkness, the voice whispered, "We will choose." When morning came, everything was quiet. The chalk marks were gone. The calabash was empty. Daniel woke on the floor beside Amara. She was pale but breathing. He reached to touch her hand and froze. His palm was covered in blood. He checked himself. No wound. Then he saw Amara's wrist, a faint red mark glowing faintly like fire. She opened her eyes slowly. "They chose," she whispered. "No," Daniel said, shaking his head. "No, I won't let them." He ran outside and screamed at the sky, "Take me instead." The air grew heavy. A whisper came, The oath was between two lovers. One must pay, the other must carry memory. Daniel fell to his knees. Amara came to him, weakly touching his face. "You once said forever. Maybe this is it," he cried, holding her close. "We can find another way." But deep inside, they both knew there wasn't one. That night, Amara asked Daniel to take her back to the almond tree. The moon was full, its light silver and sharp. They sat beneath the same branches where they had sworn their oath months ago. Amara smiled faintly. "Do you remember how the wind sounded that night?" Daniel nodded, eyes wet. "It still is," she whispered. She reached for his hand and placed it over her heart. "You have to let me go." "I can't," he said, his voice breaking. "You already did once," she said softly, and a tear rolled down her cheek. "Now the spirits won't balance." The wind rose again, swelling around them. The tree trembled. The ground pulsed faintly with red light. Amara leaned forward and kissed him. Her lips were cold, but her touch was gentle. Then she whispered, "Forever, Daniel." Her body went still. Daniel screamed her name, shaking her, crying, but she was gone. The wind stopped. The night went quiet. The spirits had taken their due. By morning, Amara's body was gone. Daniel sat alone under the tree, her necklace in his hand. Only her footprints remained in the sand, leading nowhere. Her mother wailed, and Mama Ifema said softly, "She is with them now." Daniel stayed silent. For 7 days, he neither ate nor slept. He only sat by the tree, whispering her name. Sometimes the leaves rustled, though there was no wind. Sometimes he heard her laughter faintly. On the 7th night, a light appeared above the roots. He looked up and saw her, Amara, glowing faintly, smiling sadly. "Don't cry," she said softly. "Love brought us together. Love freed me." Daniel reached for her, but his hand passed through her image. "What about me?" he whispered. "Live. Tell the story. Never swear love in the name of the spirits again." Then she faded into the wind. After Amara's death, strange things continued around the campus. Couples who kissed under the almond tree began to quarrel. Some broke up violently. One girl claimed she saw a woman in white watching her from the shadows. The school eventually cut down the almond tree, hoping to end the whispers. But at night, students still said they heard voices where it once stood. Daniel never returned to class. He traveled from church to church, begging for peace. But the mark on his chest never faded. Sometimes he woke with the sound of Amara's voice calling him from far away. Sometimes he saw her shadow move across the wall, though he was alone. He started writing everything down: the love, the promise, the curse. Months later, in a small cafe back in London, a woman sat reading a newspaper. Her name tag read, "Clear." She looked up when the lights flickered. For a second, she saw her reflection wink at her. "Who's there?" she whispered. Then she heard it, a faint voice from nowhere. "You touched what was sacred." Her cup shattered in her hand. Blood dripped onto the table, forming the shape of a heart. She tried to wipe it, but the heart mark burned into her palm. Far away, Daniel woke with a start. The mark on his chest flared again. He felt her pain. The spirits went done. That night, Daniel dreamt he was back under the tree. The wind howled, and from the darkness came hundreds of faces whispering his name. Amara appeared again, but her eyes were glowing now. "You cannot undo what was sealed," she said. "But you can warn others." "Warn them?" "Yes," she whispered. "Tell them not to swear love with blood. Tell them not to call spirits into what hearts can't keep." Daniel nodded, tears streaming down. "I'll tell them." When he woke, the mark on his chest was gone. Daniel returned to campus months later. The almond tree was gone, replaced with a small stone bearing words carved by students. Love is pure when it needs no oath. He stood before it, eyes full of pain. Then he whispered her name one last time. He began sharing the story on stages, on radio, anywhere he could. People called it the oath of two lovers. Some listened in fear, others wept, but the story spread like wind across the country. And sometimes, when Daniel told it at night, a soft breeze would blow through the crowd, and the lights would flicker as if someone unseen was listening still. Years later, Daniel sat by the sea, older, quieter. He looked at the waves and whispered, "Amara, I still love you." The wind answered softly, "Forever." He smiled, tears in his eyes. The sun sank below the horizon, and for a brief moment, he saw her reflection in the water, smiling, free. He closed his eyes, and peace finally filled him. Some say when couples walk by the ocean at night, they hear a faint voice carried by the waves, "Promise wisely." And if they listen closely, they see two shadows, one man, one woman, walking together where the water meets the sky. Because love never dies, but oaths with spirits never fade.